historical little bits of trivia about it, but none more historic than the presenter who's going to come up and tell you about his last 50 years as a part of the Elkhart Rotary Club. Mr. JimRieckhoff celebrated 50 years yesterday.
Eric, I have legal training. I can't say hello in less than 3 minutes. I grew up in Evanston, central Evanston. And when I was about 11 or 12 years old, a building was built a block and a half from my house on the path from home to school. So I walked past this building twice a day for 4 years. I had no idea what the building was. Later, I learned that it was the headquarters of the Elkhart or the Rotary Foundation, which meant absolutely nothing to me. 4 years later, when I was a senior in high school, I was invited to a Rotary luncheon, student guest type thing. Evanston had one guest per meeting. And so I dressed up, I went to the place. I sat down at a table with, I think, 5 other gentlemen and was immediately treated like a potted plant. So when I walked away, I didn't have a very good feeling about Rotary. Then 51 years ago yesterday, I moved to Elkhart, joined St. Joe Valley Bank, which, as many of you remember, was a very community-oriented bank, and it wanted its personnel to be involved in the community. John Armstrong, president of the bank, said, "Hey, young man, let's go visit some service clubs." So he and others arranged for me to visit the Lions, the Kiwanis, other service clubs, and I ultimately got it down to 3, Lions, Kiwanis, Rotary. Well, Lions was too raucous, so they were out. Kiwanis was not raucous enough, so they were out. And just like the fairy tale, Rotary for me was just right. So, as you know, 50 years in this club this month, great highlight. I could spend the rest of the afternoon talking about good things that have happened to me and that I've made happen, but I'm going to hit a few highlights for you and give you a couple thoughts about Rotary. One of the highlights was my committee work. Early on, I started getting onto committees. In a minute, I'll tell you why. My favorite committees were the Sergeant Committee and the Student Guest Committee, but there were several others on which I served, and they were always fun. In the year, Rotary year 80-81, I was president. That was accidental. I was on the board in 78, and the vice president, who was 2 years out to be president, left the club. And the board started looking around for someone to replace that person to get into the rotation. And apparently they went to every other director who said no. And so I was the last choice. And I was about to say no when my wife said, "You're crazy. You gotta do this." So I did. It was an interesting year, great fun. We started the plan to build the Elkhart Community Daycare Center. That was a brainchild of Bill Heinheis, and he was going to follow me as president. So I was just really involved in the early planning, and Bill picked up the ball, and now you can go down on South Central and see what is no longer the daycare foundation, but it's still there and it looks very nice. Among other highlights were makeups. Now I had the privilege to make up in Turkey, in South Africa, in Canada, and of course many places in this country. And makeup should be on everyone's list every day of the week. I think back fondly to the Habitat bills where we actually put some sweat equity into helping people get into housing. I take special pride in my role in County Road 6 cleanups. And so I would echo Tom's plea that you see him for this Saturday. I think that's really an important thing that we do. It's a little thing for this community, but when you think about how good that road looks when we leave, right on. And of course, the well field. Past, present, and future, I'm all in on that. And that's because I'm a Rotarian. Two other personal things that are highlights for me. My son, Jeff, was a Rotary exchange student who was assigned to Turkey, and that's why I made up in Turkey. And my daughter, Julie, who moved from other place, New Hampshire, to Key West in 2014, promptly joined the Key West Sunshine Rotary Club. That was a very pride-making thing for me. Now, two pieces of advice that sort of helped me along in my Rotary career came early. I'm guessing in the 4 to 6 month range after I was sworn in. First one was from a senior Rotarian who said, serve on as many committees as you can, as often as you can. It'll help you to meet people quickly and get a feel for the club. Second piece was, don't sit at the same table or with the same people 2 weeks in a row for exactly the same reason. Well, there's a lot more I could tell you about my tenure here. I tell you, it's all been good. So to sum it up, I'll simply say that I've put a lot into Rotary at the club, at the district, at the international level. And because I have, I'm today a better informed and more sensitive human being. Now, you and your predecessor members of this club have all helped me reach that point. And for that, I thank you all from the bottom of my heart.